Hello YouTube, Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting on a Fan. To my fellow witches, I wish you a blessed Samhain. Today is Tuesday, October 31st, 2023. It is Samhain. It is Halloween. I want to acknowledge my newest YouTube channel subscribers before we go right into the video. So first, Priscille. Priscille is the French form of Priscilla. And it's so funny because there's a movie about one of my favorite Priscillas that's out. Priscilla, as in Priscilla Beaulieu-Presley. I haven't watched it yet. I don't even remember what streaming service it's on, but I digress. So, Priscille, welcome to the YouTube channel of yours truly, Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting on a Fan. And yes, I have my lighting, and I have my fan. BT. B as in Barry, T as in Thomas. Welcome, BT. And last but certainly not least, Maddie Javen. I hope I hope I'm pronouncing your surname correctly. Maddie Javen. Welcome again, all of you, to the YouTube channel of yours truly, Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting and a Fan. In the meantime, so it is my pleasure to do the November 2023 entry of Llewellyn's 2023 Tarot Calendar. And of course I'm going to have Drake, more commonly known as my awesome audiovisual person, for my YouTube videos, do a close-up of the cover of the calendar. And here's the cover of the close-up of the back of the calendar. The back cover. The back cover, Robert. It's called the back cover. I'm in a good mood today, what can I say? And here is a close-up of November. Can I be her when I grow up? She is fierce. I'm serious. This is going to be one of those occasions where I buy a tarot deck just for one card. And it's not going to be the High Priestess, which is amazing. I dig her. I love that she's a woman of color. I love the beautiful Ankh. I love those gorgeous Black Panthers, which are actually leopards, believe it or not. So we have the Queen of Wands from the Tarot of the Immortal Knight. We have an article about the symbol. We have the astrology symbol, excuse me, the astrology article. And we have unusual symbols. I dig this article, and I'll tell you why, because it begins with, not all tarot decks rely on the same symbolism. You know, a lot of us have grown up on and been exposed to Rider-Waite-Smith symbolism. It's familiar, and because it's familiar for a lot of us, it's comforting and it's an instantaneous connection. Now, Drake has a strong affinity with a tarot deck called the Wild Unknown Tarot by Kim Krans. I cannot read it. I cannot read it. I actually need to go with traditional interpretations for those cards. The symbolic prompts do nothing for me. Even the Wild Unknown Animal Oracle, it doesn't do it for me. It's like, you know, it looks pretty, but yeah, that's pretty much all I get. Now, there is a tarot deck that I exclusively use with one individual. She has been more than a client to me for several years. She is a client. She is a dear friend. She has been a mentor. She is a confidant. She is a huge, an integral part of my support structure. And her readings, at least 90%, her readings with me, at least 90% of the time, only use all of the decks created by the Raven Phelan. And the Dreams of Gaia Tarot absolutely does not follow a Rider-Waite-Smith structure, and yet I can read with it brilliantly. And it fascinates me because it is not a Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. And those of you who have the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, you know this all too well. And yet, it's like, for me, energetically speaking, psychically speaking, the High Priestess card is key 9, the crone. And yet, to me, that embodies the energy, the oomph of the High Priestess card. Twinings chime with a little bit of light brown sugar and a little bit of half and half. Yummy, yummy. Okay, so, and of course, all of this was written by the Barbara Moore. So, Queen of Wands from the Tarot of the Immortal Knight. The Queen of Wands is supremely confident. She knows what she wants and doesn't hesitate to act. Her poise attracts many allies, so she always has the support she needs to carry out her plans. And I'm going to have Drake do another quick close-up just of the card. There is such a gloriousness to this card. There is such a gloriousness to the image. It's striking, it's commanding, it's beautiful. I find it mesmerizing. Everything from her jewelry to the ankh, which is actually a smaller staff. It's like it's a scepter. That's what it is. It's a scepter. And I love the fact that it's on her left side, because traditionally the left side of the body is the feminine side, the maternal side, the receiving side, the emotional side, the goddess side. So she is coming from a place of rulership, from the feminine, not from the masculine, even though she has in the crook of her left elbow a phallic symbol. A scepter is a phallic symbol because it looks like this. You know, there are things that look like this. They're referred to as phallic. Just the whole thing. So we have the ankh. The ankh, the Egyptian symbol for life, was placed with the dead to ensure eternal life. Now a part of modern vampire lore, it is a fitting symbol for this queen, known for her zest for life. And not surprisingly, from a Western astrological perspective, Queen of Wands can represent an Aries woman or a Leo woman. A lot of Aries women and a lot of Leo women, at least the ones who I've met, have a zest for life. Lionesses, but of course, given the presence of these big cats, it's easy for me to see lioness in this image as opposed to Aries. Because look at all the fiery red and the gold. That's very Leo. Not the fiery red is Aries, but the gold is absolutely Leo. Astrology. The Queen of Wands is ruled by Mars in Pisces and Mars and the Sun in Aries, as in Mars in Aries and Sun in Aries. And it's interesting to note that Mars rules Aries, just like Mars with Pluto co-rules Scorpio. Remember, Pluto in astrology, just like the sun and the moon, are planets. In astronomy, the sun is a star, the moon is a satellite, and I forgot if Pluto is still a dwarf star or if it's a satellite. I remember that big hoopla that it's no longer a planet. I don't remember offhand if the astronomical associations reclassified Pluto as a planet, but in Western astrology, it is still a planet. All that fiery energy makes her the most masculine of the queens. From her pinnacle of confident success, well, look, it's Durga. Hi, Durga. We're talking about cats and fiery energy, and we have Durga. She's looking around. I should scoop you up and force you to be in the video. I don't care. You're my cat, so you have to be in the video. Yes, look at her. This is called Happy Cat. Anyway, from the pinnacle of confident success, she establishes control and rules with virtue. Her challenge is employing emotional manipulation to achieve her goals. I always feel like that's a typo. Her challenge is to refrain from employing emotional manipulation to achieve her goals. She can have trouble finishing things. I'm not going to mention names, but there are 2 Leo women that I know who have that challenge. Drake is not going to mention names either, even though he knows who. Hi. Well, your claw's a little stuck. That's why. So let me. Give me that. And there she is. So I'm not going to mention names, and neither is Drake, and there she goes. Anyway, unusual symbols. Not all tarot decks rely on the same symbolism. This is one reason we love collecting decks. It is interesting to see how others interpret the cards. These new ideas likewise shape our interpretation so that we are always expanding our understanding. Don't make the mistake of discounting a symbol just because you've never seen it used before. Symbols are living things. Oh, I love that. Symbols are living things, growing and changing as societies grow and change. When something puzzles you, open up and let new ideas in. Research, think, meditate. Find the connections that weren't first apparent. There is a tarot deck called The Ancient Egyptian Tarot by Clive Barrett. And in that deck, that's just Durga playing with a cardboard box, so you know. And in that deck, there are certain cards that I have only interpreted a certain way. Are you okay, Drake? You sure? Because you have a strange look on your face. Oh, okay. All right, I'll continue. So it's just one of those things where it's like, in no other tarot deck that I've ever used do I get that thing. It's like, only with that particular tarot deck do these cards mean these things. Another tarot deck that I've had a similar experience with is a fairy-themed tarot. I don't remember the exact wording offhand or the name of the illustrator, but what fascinated me about this tarot deck, this particular fae-themed tarot deck, is that every card in that tarot deck has a different border. And I had never seen that before, nor have I seen that since. And I was like, that is so wild. And of course, all the traditional interpretations when I used that tarot deck went out the window. I was like, because I was finding myself guided and led to create, quote-unquote, create a new interpretation based on the different borders and based on the card itself. And also, the background color was not the same card to card. Some had lavender, some had forest green, some had red, some had ocean blue. And I was like, this is so wild. So, and it's a tarot deck that I unearthed recently. In fact, it was my intention to use it for the Moon, Serpent, and Bone 5th Annual Summer Solstice Festival, but that went out the window. But there's always next year. Although I'll probably use it for the 6th Annual Ostara Festival, but I digress. Also, wands associated with fire represent our will, our desires, and our passions. Wand shows the energy that drives us. In your journals, here's some homework for you, although I don't call it homework, but I digress. In your journal, write about how your passion is expressed in your life, or perhaps how it is smothered. Durga's demanding attention from Drake. I know you have food, but you don't want to be in the video. Like somebody else who wanted to be heard but not seen. You know, Isis. Her. How can you channel that energy for healthier, more productive outcomes? What would your passion look like if you consciously manifested it in the world? If you are open to sharing, I would love to hear what came up for you. By the way, since I do not remember offhand who are the creative forces behind this deck, written by Charles Harrington, illustrated by Craig Mayer. Tarot of the Immortal Knight. As always, I want to thank Llewellyn Publications for continuing to publish this particular annual, because it is the only tarot-themed annual they offer. That's number one. And number two, I want to thank the Barbara Moore for the insight, spreads, and tips. And as always, to all of you in YouTube land, thank you so much for honoring who I am and what I do, and for honoring Drake, more commonly known as my awesome audiovisual person, for my YouTube videos. Thank you for all the likes, thank you for all the comments, thank you for all the shares, thank you for all the subscriptions to my YouTube channel, and especially a big and beautiful and bountiful thank you to those of you who have scheduled your sessions. In the meantime, stay safe, stay well, stay hydrated, stay happy, and stay tuned for the next video.